She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties.
JK, I did not touch NASA robots.
Nope, not enema. Nope.
I decided I'm a sock in this moment.
I know what I came for, and it gave it to me.
I'm an angry rainbow for sure, but I am a rainbow. Bangity bang, is that a bang bang bangity bang? Bang bang, bangity bang, is that a bang bang bangity bang? Because how dare she have ovaries? I had a frog in my throat the whole time. I'm like, I'm trying to do that without coughing.
Oh my gosh, you're a mess. So look behind me. Look behind me.
It's so pretty. It looks so good. You're fancy.
Thank you. Tom bought me bookshelves for my birthday, and I have never had anyone buy me bookshelves. The bookshelf that I moved all of these off of was just like a hand-me-down, but no one's ever bought me bookshelves before. So
that's so sweet.
I feel very loved.
He knows how much you love your books.
Yeah, well, he also knows when I say, look, I don't want you to buy me anything else but this, that he should probably buy that thing.
I mean, again, my husband's best with direct.
Yeah. Usually he likes to like not get that thing, but this time I was like, look. So I tried to make a reel of me loading the shelf, and I was wearing this shirt that like it has a slit in the back like this.
Yeah, the droops a little bit.
But it doesn't show off my back except as I'm bending over to pick up the books and put them on the shelf.
Oh, no!
So I start looking at it back, and I was like, wow, that's just all my very large back.
Oh.
So I don't think that one's going to be posted, but I did do a Instagram reel showing off the bookshelf. I just, it's just not that one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. My week consisted of one very, very full basketball game where the Northern Middle School lost for the first time ever. And the girls were like, as we're driving home, they're like, yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
Were they both involved in this one too?
No, it's just Piper likes to go.
Oh, okay.
Piper likes to go and Liv just cheers, but Piper doesn't go and sit. Piper won't sit in they have a student section for the middle schoolers to encourage them to come and like be participant. And the vice principal and the principal sits down in the end so parents can just like drop their kids off for the basketball game. It's like, cause it's like runs from like 3:30, 4-ish till like dinner time. So it's a great way to entertain your middle schoolers, during the week. I go, Piper, don't you want to, and they do like a theme thing and everything. So I'm sitting next to her one game and I go, you don't want to go sit with your classmates? And she goes, they're idiots. I'm not going to go sit with them.
Oh, man.
She has already decided that everyone in 8th grade is an idiot.
Well, it's probably not far from the truth. So
no, it's not.
So anyway, you want to talk about what we're talking about
this week?
Yes,
let's talk about this book this week. It's been a quiet week for all of us.
This is the first February romance read. We're doing 4 romance reads for February. And our first one is this one here, Ali Hazlewood's Love on the Brain. And
I'm so excited. I was so excited for this book.
It's so good. And we did her first book, Love Hypothesis, last year in February for season 2. We also did romance reads, and I picked a book that was romantic but wasn't a romance, and I failed the assignment. So, but this time they're all romance reads.
Yes, they're all romance reads.
This one is, like I said, Ali Hazlewood's second one. So
it is
science, STEMmy, witty romance.
I have a lot of beef, like with some of the accuracy of the Houston area.
I know you do. We'll definitely cover that since we both lived in Houston
for a good long while.
Right.
And it kind of
my oldest child was born in Clear Lake, really close to NASA. So
seriously, mine too. Yeah. My youngest was born down the street from NASA.
Yeah. All right. So synopsis.
All
right. Dr. B. Königswasser is a total Marie Curie stan. She's also an amazing neuroscientist who has just been offered her dream job with NASA. Unfortunately, she will be co-leading the NIH and NASA project with her nemesis, Dr. Levi Ward.
Ain't it always how it is?
Right. B and Levi met in grad school where their relationship was contemptuous due to Levi's complete disregard for B's feelings as a human being and a scientist.
Because how dare she have ovaries?
Right. While B is not looking forward to working with Levi, Levi is filled with nerves because he, in fact, does not hate B. Quite the opposite, in fact. Right. Levi, surprise! Levi is not only harboring long-term feelings of romance for B, he is absolutely awestruck by her abilities as a scientist. In a secondary story in this classic enemies to lovers trope, B is acting out her Marie Curie obsession through her Twitter alter ego, What Would Marie Do, or WWMD, an account dedicated to calling out the gender biases faced by women in STEM. Along the way, WWMD has made friends with a man and fellow scientist named Schmeck. What will happen when her real life and her online life collide? What will happen? The funny thing is,
just read that book.
Right, we read one of those in December.
Literally just read this book.
Literally in December, and then tomorrow had a little piece of that too.
Y'all, originality,
right? But it's so funny to me because I was like 8 pages into the book, and the first time Schmeck is introduced, I texted Katie, who's already read the book, our friend Nurse Katie, for those of you who are new to our pod, and I said, I 100% believe that this person is going to turn out to be Levi. Spoiler. And I'm 8 pages in.
It was a softball, man. Yeah. It was just like, whip. Like, come on.
Yeah. It wasn't really necessary to the story, but I didn't hate it either. But Katie wrote back something about, like, it's almost like you read a lot of books. And I was like, fair point.
No, we don't read that many.
I mean, honestly, she might outread us because we're reading about a book a week, but she can finish like a
she goes so fast, though.
Yeah, she's a very fast reader, so much faster than I am. Mm-hmm. All right, so can we go ahead and start questions?
I mean, I guess so if you want to. I mean, it's why we're here, isn't it?
I guess. All right, this is our...
It's a sock day. I'm sorry, gang. This is not... So ADHD has 2 sides. Mm-hmm. And usually you're seeing me at the peak of my ADHD. Everywhere, up and down. And this is what they call the ADHD crash, where I'm just decided I'm a sock.
Oh, I just figured you were high.
No, I am a ADHD stock. It is literally love mode up in this bitch.
All right.
No, I wish I was high. That actually would probably make me a lot funnier right now.
Oh my gosh. All right. This is the second Ali Hazlewood we've read for the pod. How do you think this one compared to her first book, The Love Hypothesis?
It is her style.
Yeah.
She has a style, a tone, and a voice. You know who she is.
Yeah.
If I pick up a book by the cover picture, or even if I just read the text, I could have opened that book in any page, and it
would have been her.
It's Ali.
Yeah, 100%.
It's her. It's her voice.
Right.
This woman, when we talk about writers as artists, like collecting their thoughts and narrowing their voice, this is it. Yeah. Chessie knows her voice.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Even though Chessie writes multiple genres. She writes several different genres, but it's very clearly hers.
It's all her, right? Mm-hmm. You can definitely see her hand, her mind, and her thought process, right? John Green.
Same thing.
Hank Green.
Yeah.
Same Green. Yeah. Dr. Harkness. I have more. It's just not coming to me right now.
Well, I want to include Stephanie Meyer in that, but I really think the problem is that she just can't write anything.
Andy Weir.
Andy Weir, 100%.
Karen Slaughter. Mm-hmm. There's just some authors.
There's a clear voice,
There's a clear voice. Stephen King, clear voice.
I would say Emily Henry, too. I love everything she writes. So.
100%. But yes, there was 100% consistency. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Here's the thing.
right?
Yes. So she's written a collection. So she's written some short stories, and she recently published it in a collection, Loath to Love You. So this is 3 short stories. I actually have not read this yet, but it did come out in January. And so, and then she has another novel coming out this summer, which I've already pre-ordered. But it's all the same thing. It's her STEM romance thing.
She definitely has like a niche.
Oh, for sure. But for me, because I am really attracted to like the nerdy, smart.
You have a type.
I do.
Broody.
Yeah, the witty banter that's so flirtatious but also so dry. Like, that's what I'm into. And so, like, her writing and that of Emily Henry, which we're going to read later this month, like, that really appeals to me because that's what I'm attracted to in real life. Like, that's my husband.
It just feeds the flame.
Yeah, but I have to say, so I loved The Love Hypothesis a lot. And that was one of the first, like, for pod that we read that was like real, like, wow, the sex scene was like, whoa. But she got a lot of flack for that one because Spice Talk was all like, where's the spice? Like, this is one sex scene. But for me, I love a slow burn. So I was like into the fact
this one had more sex, I think.
I was going to say that. So this one was a lot more sex. And I actually, I love to read the author's notes. I love it, the acknowledgments. And she, in her acknowledgments, she thanked, I think it was her editor, for letting her add in sex scenes over and over and over again, like till the very end. Oh, author's note. Here we go.
Noted.
No, it might be in her acknowledgments, but in her author's note, she talks about how much she hates standardized testing, which is a big part of this book.
Word.
So, and here's the thing, if you don't know anything about Ali Hazlewood, she actually is a woman in STEM. So she's writing about this, what it's like to be essentially an outsider. I mean, that's what Piper's life is going to be like. She's going to be an outsider. And
she's used to that though.
There are a lot of organizations that are trying to encourage girls to do more STEM because we just do not have enough women in that. But anyway, that's what she's writing about. And I have to say, I'm not sure that I liked Levi more than I liked Adam because I really, really liked Adam Carlson. But
I think I like Levi more.
But I think I liked the relationship. Maybe not. Maybe not. It wasn't a slow burn. They were banging.
Well, the characters are 2 different people. You have to think about Bree and who's in the first book? I can't remember the name of the
Olive
in the first book. Olive. That sounds right. Anyways, Bree and we'll call her Olive. Bree and Olive are 2 different people, right?
Not B. Not Bree.
Olive,
Olive Smith.
Olive and B. B is worldly. B is, knows who she is. She's realized that her heart's in her vagina and she's good with just not. She's decided to cut those strings and move on. And it's complicated for her. It's less complicated for her than it is for Olive.
Right. And Ali Hazlewood is not American, so I kind of wonder if some of the like international that comes out in B was like inspired by like her life, but I don't really know. But anyway, I don't know. I like them both. I'm gonna read everything Ali Hazlewood puts out because, I mean, she writes men that I want.
You're attracted to.
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Please.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
All right.
B and Levi have an Nope, not enema. Nope.
I hope they don't. There's no enemas in this book, gang.
Nope.
This is an enema-free book.
Nobody's being
enema-free
either.
No pegging either.
What book was that? Spoiler alert. Okay. B and Levi have an enemies to lover-esque story. Despite the predictability of this trope, did you find their love story compelling or believable?
Oh, I called I was ringing the trope bell as soon as we started. 100%. I was like, what up? It's a trope!
All the tropes.
All the tropes. It works. She leans into it, right? She goes, you know what? I'm going to write a trope. And you know what? She writes it well. She writes it smart. She writes it fun. Yeah. So fucking do it.
But you know what's interesting, Molly? The book that we're reading for next week.
Delilah Green doesn't care.
Delilah Green doesn't care. My issue with that book is how cliche it is. And, and how hard it leans into the tropes. But this one, Love on the Brain, I'm like, I know what I came for, and it gave it to me. So what is going on?
This is sapphic. You definitely have a type. There's nothing wrong with being straight, girlfriend. I'm just saying.
I don't think it's because they're women, though, because I don't have an issue with, like, red, white, and royal blue.
Right. But you're attracted to men. You're not attracted to women.
So it's like what Tom said. It's because of the penises. But
it's the penis.
I don't know.
Penis. Vagina.
I don't know that the sex scenes in Delilah's weren't sexy. They were sexy. I just didn't like the characters. We'll talk about it next week. Okay.
We'll talk about it next week.
So did you find their story, like, was it believable? Was it compelling?
It is realistic that scientists fuck each other. I mean, NASA's small.
Do you remember the conversation we had about the astronauts banging in space?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it is not surprising at all that, like, this is going on. I've been to NASA. I have a lot of beef with this book and, like, setting and shit, especially since I feel like she's never been to Houston for more than a second in her life.
The funny thing is, she talks about, in her author's note or her acknowledgements, one of them, how much she loves the lab in Houston. Molly is waving her bullshit flag.
You want to know why? You want to know fucking why?
I do want to know why.
Houston, a goddamn walking city.
No, you can't.
Houston, Texas. Listen to me, people.
Oh my gosh.
Listen to me very carefully. I am very angry. Houston is not a walking city. Houston is not a walking city. I'm sorry, that was loud.
To the degree that
I am yelling. So
from where I lived in League City, which was the neighboring town to Clear Lake, which you also lived in League City, which is the neighboring town to Clear Lake.
Yes.
It took me an hour to get to the grocery store that was on the same fucking street that I lived on. Yeah.
Also, NASA's not in Houston. That is Clear Lake City, friends.
It's Clear Lake.
Clear Lake City.
But I'm pretty sure they call it NASA Houston.
They have to.
Johnson Space
because,
Center.
Okay, so I actually learned this. This is actually fun knowledge. Random knowledge. Ready, gang? So when I was active duty, all connects. I promise. It all connects. I know you do. So when I was active duty, we were working on the plans to move Sector Houston from downtown to the port to the air station at Ellington. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they had the, like, plans and the blueprints and everything. And I was sitting and I was watching and I'm taking notes and I look up to my commander and I ask him a question. I go, why are we doing it there? That property is, like, I'm looking over this and I go, that property is twice as expensive as the properties, like, down the street technically in Webster or League City. Right. Or even Texas City would be cheaper.
Right.
And he goes, the government, the U.S. government and the state of Texas have a deal, and this is the same deal that every state makes with the government when it comes to military bases and government bases. It has to be attached to the major metropolitan to give them the acknowledgement and, you know, the glory, the namesake, the title of owning such things. Houston Sector Houston, right? Air Station Houston. NASA Houston. Even though it's not Houston, it's Houston.
Yeah, but they didn't call the base that was whatever the island
Ellington?
was. No. The Coast Guard base that's on
in Galveston?
Galveston.
That's Galveston.
They don't that's not the closest large metropolitan area.
But it is a Sector Houston Galveston base.
Oh, I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. It's all Sector Houston Galveston.
Well, yes. The least believable thing about this was not the cliches, was not that some astronaut tried to shoot her. The least believable thing was we're going to walk to NASA. No,
bro, and NASA's, I've been in NASA's labs. I have haven't touched NASA robots. I'm not going to get in trouble for that one. I've not touched NASA robots. JK, I did not touch NASA robots. But
say it one more time and I'll believe you.
I have not touched NASA robots.
She has not, folks. Okay.
Anyways, it looks like a 1970s middle school lab, like science lab. It is not fancy. There is no glass walls. There is no fancy walkthrough. There is a lot of security. There is a lot of people. It looks like an old science lab. All these descriptions are wrong. Wrong.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but I do know you can't walk to NASA.
You can definitely. I mean, you could, but you're going to be drenched in sweat. Tits, pits, everything. Like you're just gonna be soaked.
And she was there in the summer.
You're going to be soaked. It is not sitting outside weather in Houston in the summer. And hummingbirds don't come out in the summer. They hide. They hibernate. They go somewhere.
So I once saw a hummingbird in Houston. I was at a library. It was part of the Houston public library system, but it was kind of close to Pasadena. And I was sitting there working on grad school work. This is when I was like in grad school for my library science degree.
Yeah.
And I heard a bang on the window, and it was a hummingbird had hit the window and fallen.
Because he realized he was in Houston and he didn't belong there.
No, Molly, this guy that was like kind of like across from where I was sitting, like diagonal, he and I both looked at each other, and we both kind of like looked at the hummingbird laying on the ground, and we're like, that's so sad that hummingbird died. I am not exaggerating. 40 minutes later, the hummingbird motherfucking came back to life and flew away. I was like,
did you guys just like...
I was like, what the actual fuck happened?
Did you guys just go, oh my God, we saw the second coming?
No, I think he was gone by then. But I was just like, what? I think
and nobody will ever believe you.
I think it probably knocked itself out.
Yeah. Concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, you're tiny.
Needed to bounce back.
Yeah. He needed a timeout. He's fine now.
This isn't one of my questions, but do you think this is enemies to lovers since he really loved her the whole time? Is it enemies to lovers?
No, it's a miscommunication trope.
I'll go with that. I agree with you.
It's a miscommunication trope.
Yeah. All right. Ali Hazlewood writes a lot of funny quips in her books. Do you have a favorite from this?
Oh my God, they used my line at the end. Her sister calls the TV the guys. And how many times, like, I literally pulled my headphones on and I go, Matt! Guys! And he's like, what? And I go, guys! And I put the phone back and he's like, huh? And I go, I have been using this phrase for, I mean, when I had the toddler in the house, that's all he called men that weren't mad. Guys. So when my phrase was in this book, I'm like, damn it, Ali Hazlewood, I was going to use that.
My favorite one was sausage reference. That
all
the
of
women
them
need a man to like say, all right, she's cool, she's in the club.
Yeah. Like, I wish I had like a Kielbasa Fest references when I was active duty. You know, like she has some clever ones in there, and I was real jealous that I didn't come up with those when I was active duty.
Yeah, because you were in a male-dominated industry too. All right, B had a pretty awful BL before Levi. She is an orphan. She has a broken engagement due to her fiance cheating on her with her best friend. She has a terrible and sexist boss. Do we really need all this baggage for her character arc?
It's realistic.
You think? That much?
I mean, being an orphan, no. But being estranged from a sister, having a shitty childhood, having life not go your way, having a terrible boss. As people with trauma, we sometimes absorb things we don't need, is all I'm saying.
I just thought that you could have focused solely on the fact that her relationship fell apart because, well, first of all, it wasn't just the cheating. That guy was an asshole.
Right. I mean,
but I
didn't need the sister either. It's just...
No.
It's just, I think she needed, the writer needed somebody, Ali Hazlewood needed somebody for B to talk to.
But she had somebody. She had Riki.
It just wasn't working. It like, I know what she was doing. I just don't feel like it works.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I just don't think all of it was necessary. Like, I feel like what was necessary.
It's enough slices! It's enough spices!
That's enough sprinkles. Don't try to tell me how to live my life. I just thought the big focus should have been on the relationship trauma that she experienced. That would have been enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, Levi's been in love with me since grad school. Is it realistic for a guy to harbor those unrequited feelings for that long?
Yeah, but I don't see him not getting married or like sitting around waiting.
And he really didn't, because he did have other. Well, except that we find out that relationship that he had was before he met B. It doesn't seem like he's had a relationship since meeting her.
Well, what bothers me is he's so obsessed with this girl so much and follows her work and knows everything. He didn't know she wasn't married.
Yeah, that was for me.
It just didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. And
it didn't make sense.
I get it that the ex was probably not forthcoming with that information because he knew Levi had feelings, but like, bruh, you wouldn't have known that she didn't get married?
Yeah.
I mean, a Google search would have fixed that. A Facebook stalk. Like, I don't...
Seriously, a quick Instagram scroll.
Right.
She uses social media, so we know she's probably got a regular Twitter, not just from Maria Curie one.
She does.
And she would have definitely found that.
I just think it's unrealistic that he would have stayed attached to her so long without having relationships in the middle. Like, it really, like, he actually, when they have sex for the first time, he says, it's really been a long time for me, so this might be fast, you know? So, like, we never get a clear answer that he's had relationships since then, but it doesn't seem like he's had many. And nothing serious.
Nothing serious. I think in his mind, he was probably like, well, that was the girl for me, and now we're done. Might as well have some fun.
Look, even if you're socially awkward, you don't do that.
I don't know.
It just seemed unrealistic.
Yeah.
All right, spoiler alert, B and Levi get together.
No, you don't fucking say. In a romance book.
I know, right? What are the odds?
What?
B thinks
this is all new information for me. I've not read this
brand new information. B thinks that they're just fuck buddies, but Levi is ready to go all in. Cliche or well written?
Cliche, and I mean, she's denser than a fucking door because,
so much so.
Like, he's saying when we do this, he's using the royal we. You are in a relationship.
Yeah.
Man.
They were living together.
Word. Word. Her cat liked him more than anyone else on the planet.
Right.
Like.
Right. I don't really read these books for, like, some nuance. I want what I expected.
It's
I want
fun.
What I
we read it for fun.
Right.
It's fun. Yeah.
So I want the predictability of a rom-com. So I don't mind that, you know, that this was the cliche of, you know, he fell first. But also I kind of have a thing for the he fell first thing because this is probably my own insecurity. Like, I feel like
you want to be loved and longed for and desired.
Yeah,
girl
like,
same.
I have the whole
girl same.
I have the whole like, who would want me, you know? And then
girl same.
Right. And then I got Tom.
You did get Tom.
I did.
And he's got a beard down to his belly button.
Let's not talk about that.
It's a troll beard.
I hate it.
Have you tried braiding it yet?
No. And let me just tell you about his beard. I'm going to take a sidestep.
The Midnight Baba. What's that sound? Just take clippers to it. The Midnight Baba. I come and cut your hair when you're sleeping. That one on TikTok.
I've not seen that. But let me just tell you a little bit. I'm going to sidestep here because here's the thing. For those of you who do not know, my husband is our editor. So he will very much have to hear what I'm saying right now.
Yes.
So he has like one strand. Like, it's very thick here, right? Yeah. And then he has just this little strand that goes down to his belly button.
Oh, like right here is goatee-ish.
It goes down to his belly button, but it's only like
the goatee.
I mean, it's only like a few strands of hair.
But it's the goatee. So why isn't he growing the rest out?
It doesn't grow. So I don't like
laugh at you, buddy.
I don't like his beard, but I feel like I would at least be more accepting if it like grew better. It just stopped.
Not everybody's supposed to have beards.
He has not cut it since he got out of the Guard.
I mean, maybe he's got to do it in his own time.
He's not going to cut it.
I mean, maybe one day when he trips on it, he will.
On Sunday, I thought he had spilled something on himself, and we were about to walk out the door for church. I was like, "Baby, you spilled something on yourself." He's like, "No, that's from my beard being wet and in my shirt." I was like, "Bruh, gross, gross." All right, that's enough picking on my husband now. Another spoiler alert! Turns out B's online identity has been interacting with Levi's online identity for years. Thoughts on the storyline? I'm guessing that's what those bells were.
That's the thought.
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary. I mean, I get the needing the Madame Curie storyline to kind of like feed her identity and stuff, but like,
I feel like what Ali Hazlewood was trying to do with this story was to prove the point of how racially discriminate and gender discriminate the college entrance exams, the GRE, and admissions were. And that was a pivot from the story. So she tried to make it work in here, and it didn't need to.
I mean, it feels like an author putting their political agenda in a story so that they can push their political agenda while also telling a story.
Which is what happened with Red, White, and Royal Blue, and that was the part of that book I didn't like.
And I get her point. But this was not a political statement book. This was never intended to be this. This is a bubblegum romance. No offense, Ali. Your writing is good. You're a smart writer. You use smart language. But this is bubblegum in the best ways. This is bubblegum. This is bubblegum. There's nothing wrong with bubblegum. It's just stay in your lane.
Right.
You want to write a book about STEM and romance and politics, then write that book. But write it from the beginning. Don't give me this whole bubblegum bullshit and then halfway through, all of a sudden it's a political statement and then we're doing a fun run at the fucking end. It just doesn't make goddamn sense.
It's so funny that you're saying that because my next question's about the politics in this book.
Sorry. So, did I go ahead?
Let me just read what I wrote here, and then we'll keep going on what you're saying.
Sounds good.
All right, let's talk about the larger story surrounding the love story. B and Levi are working on creating helmets for astronauts that would stimulate brain function.
Brilliant. Super cool idea.
Yeah.
Probably definitely in the works.
Probably.
There is a
whole backstory about how the helmets were designed. There's a lot of political nonsense that can potentially delay the project. There's even a competitor who may or may not patent before them. And there's this overeager astronaut named Guy. How did you think the story did with incorporating a larger plot than the romance?
So, I'm going to defend some of the NASA stuff that happens inside the building. That first conversation about shutting a project down and slow rolling it and let it water itself out happens all the fucking time.
100%.
Happens all the time at NASA, happens in the military, happens at the Pentagon, happens at... It happens all the time.
Right.
Corporations and government agencies can't work together.
Right.
And so, like, that was part of the problem in during the oil spill, the big oil spill in the Galveston Bay, not the Galveston Bay, the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
The you know what I'm talking about?
Mexico.
The big one that the Coast Guard was involved with.
Yeah, the Gulf of Mexico.
The reason that took so long was because FEMA wasn't taking care of it, the company wasn't taking care of it, and the Coast Guard couldn't take care of it because
Right.
they needed funding and they didn't know who was paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer it sat, the longer it all comes down to money.
Right.
It all comes down to money. And that is freaking, I mean, that's the politics now. I mean, Coasties aren't even getting paid, may not get paid soon. Like,
yep.
It's just money.
Mm-hmm.
Money.
Yep.
Okay, your turn, because I'm just rambling about money now.
So I definitely thought that this was like, that was realistic. I mean, mm-hmm. I work for city government. It happens in city government too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, but I don't necessarily think that all of that, what she did a good job weaving all of that together with a romance. Like Love Hypothesis, because they weren't working on a project together, she did a better job weaving together their romance because they were only together in the context of their relationship. Whereas Bea and Levi were working together. And so we had a much larger story than like the romance.
And I actually like this one more because you do have them interacting more. But the politics do make it muddy.
Yeah.
We have the gender politics. We have the race politics. We have the testing politics. We have the money politics. We have the government politics. We have the us versus them politics. It's just, there's so many things we're screaming about. Mm-hmm. You can't hear the storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm being critical right now because I feel like that's what we're here for, is to give an honest review. But I loved this book.
I did too. Like, agreed.
It's not, I mean, even though I'm being
it's not critical, a bad book.
It's a very good book.
It's a great book.
I liked it a lot. And I mean,
honestly, my literal biggest beef with this whole book is the fact that nobody can fucking walk from one place to another in fucking Houston.
It bothered me
That's
too.
my biggest goddamn beef with this book.
It bothered me too. I actually...
Also, you can't get locked into a fucking...
Cemetery?
Cemetery.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Nobody runs in cemeteries.
I actually did give this 5 stars. I'm trying to see my rating.
Any more questions?
Oh, yeah. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars for the story, and then 4 out of 5 for the spice. So, yeah, I've got a few more questions. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I don't have a question here, but this is what I want to talk about. Bee's assistant, Rocio, is the emo princess we all need in our lives. When she falls in love with the project manager, Kaylee, and talks about how she would wear glitter for her, black, of course. I laughed so fucking hard.
It's, you know who it is?
Who?
It's Penelope and what is the chick from NCIS?
Abby?
Yeah, it's Abby and what's her face from Criminal Minds.
I don't watch Criminal Minds, but I know who you're talking about.
It's them, right? They're polar opposites. Yeah. It's Wednesday Addams and
Enid.
Enid, you know,
like
it's us.
With her roommate. It's us too.
It's us. Like, there is a dark and a light. Yeah. You have to have balance.
The funny thing is,
soon as she started getting flustered, I knew she was going to go for her.
I know. And then that whole story of like, are you sure that he feels about you the way that I feel about Kaylee? And B like had no idea that it wasn't hate. The funny thing is, going back to like the Wednesday and Enid thing, like the sunshine and the storm cloud, like I feel like what people see of our personalities is that you are the dark and I am the light. But the truth is that I am emo as fuck.
I know, and I am super bubbly.
I know.
And normally our wardrobes reflect it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you wear a lot of vibrant, bright colors and patterns, and I wear solids that are dark. The only thing that's light is like my eyeshadow is always like some funky, fun color, but
pink or something. Yeah,
I am purple in shades of gray. Like that is my emo.
And I am
life.
I am a rainbow,
but
I'm an angry rainbow for sure. But I am a rainbow. I'm the meanest rainbow you're ever gonna meet.
You're like the dark purple My Little Pony that has like the rain cloud on its butt. You're still pretty sparkly, but you also
I also have a pocket
bitch.
knife in my boot, my pocket, and there might be a pin that is sharp in my hair.
I mean, you have literal training in killing people. Like, I don't have that training.
It's labs, but yeah. Lab.
But I love the story of the two of them and the fact that they like have sex in B's office on her desk, and she's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "Aren't you in a relationship with a guy?" Like,
and she's always like, "You're so just not getting it, B." Mm-hmm. Like that's how the audiobook narrator was,
because she's all Gen Z. I love that there was I love that there was like a Gen Z character in this.
I'm trying to think if I can think of any of the dark lines. She's like, "My soul is the river, and her light is my sun, and I will never drown without her."
She like wants to meet some weird ghost that drowned.
Oh yeah, the wailing woman.
What in the world?
I hope I think I am communing with her. What the fuck? You know who it is? She's freaking Kepner, not Kepner. April in Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah, April.
April in Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
she's April in Parks
and Rec.
Ludgate.
Yeah, if they ever made this a movie and Aubrey Plaza doesn't play her, I'm going to sue.
Honestly, Aubrey Plaza's getting a little too old to play that.
I was actually going to say the same thing.
Man, she's brilliant.
The girl who plays Wednesday Addams can be her.
Yeah. Have you seen the video of Aubrey Plaza telling Drew Barrymore that she's her mommy, and it's super like it's sexually confusing for everybody. I don't know who's not sexually confused by that scene.
She was the host of SNL a couple of weeks ago, and Leslie.
Oh, it was so good.
Leslie Knope and April Ludgate did a Amy Poehler was on the show, and they did a whole bit. It was funny.
She's so funny.
It was so funny. All right, so another spoiler.
Okay.
Guy turns out to be a total shithead who was trying to tank the project from the start.
Not Guy.
Did you see it coming?
No. I thought it was one of the engineers.
I thought Guy was going to be the one fucking shit up because he didn't get the lead that he was due. But I didn't think that it was because I didn't think he was like going to murder people. I thought he was actually like feeding information to the competitor.
Right. So at first I thought it was the engineers after she corrected them on where the stims had to go, right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
and there was that guy that was like, I took a level 1 engineering class in undergrad.
Neurology. Yeah.
And she's like, cool, because I have a PhD in it. So.
Right. But I was like, okay, they're fucking with her. They don't like her. They don't want her with her boss. They know their boss has a thing for her. Maybe they're trying to get rid of her.
I thought
that was my assumption.
I assumed it was the guy that was above Levi. That's what I assumed.
Yes, and then I assumed it was him, especially since he was like, let's just let sleeping dogs lie, you know?
Right.
But I was surprised it was Nick.
Guy.
I
wasn't surprised Guy was a part of fucking something up. I just really thought that he was going to have been giving information to the other people. Because they left that plot just hanging there. We never find out if they continued making their thing. We don't know anything about it.
Unfinished stories. 0 out of 10.
Well, I think the whole point of that story was, to increase the timeline, but also so that they could go to that con so she could run into her ex, which I just don't know that was the best way.
I mean, it's how else are they going to build their relationship as, Levi and B if he can't protect her from the terrible boyfriend who broke her heart.
Well, and that's how he found out that the ex was the ex, because he didn't know before them.
Right.
Katie asked me if I had gotten to the banging yet at one point, and I was like, nope, but they just checked into a conference, so I'm assuming it's coming soon.
Because it's always one bed. There's a one bed trope coming up.
It wasn't at one bed, but yes, I actually texted you when that happens to Delilah Green. I was like, oh my gosh, there's the one bed trope. All right, so we got to talk about the sex. We got to talk about sex. So this book has way more spicy scenes than the Love Hypothesis. So what did you think of the spice in this book?
I thought it was a good amount. Mm-hmm. It wasn't heavy like I'm sure fine print is.
Oh man, fine print is just bang, bang, bangity, bang, bang.
Bang, bang, bangity, bang. Is that a bang, bang, bangity, bang? Bang, bang, bangity, bang. Is that a bang, bang, bangity, bang? If you don't know what we're talking about, we are referencing How I Met Your Mother. I will put it in notes.
But if you don't know what we're talking about, I feel bad for you.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Such a good show.
What are you fucking doing here? Go
watch How I Met Your Mother.
Come back
after you're done. Come back.
But yeah, it's just like it was a really good amount, and there was a good build up. There was no scenes that stuck out to me. There wasn't like any bookmarks. Mm-hmm. It was just good old fashioned romping, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was a scene that stuck out to me for sure.
Was it the one where he had her on her knees?
No.
Okay.
I honestly think that I'm too embarrassed to say because it's too personal.
Gotcha. Understood. Moving on.
That's an off-pod conversation.
Moving on.
That was all the questions I had. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Besides the fact that you can't walk to NASA?
Can't fucking walk. You can't fucking walk to NASA.
Well, okay. And also, like, I understand they had her, like, in an apartment that was probably closer, but
there isn't
anything like that there.
I'm gonna tell you what happens when you drive down that road, okay? You're gonna drive down that road, and you're gonna start in Lake City. Or no, you're gonna start in Webster, because you get off of... I gotta pull the map up, because I have to see this to fucking tell you guys.
Yeah, you get off in Webster... And then you
go down off in Webster, right?
You go down Clear Lake Boulevard, I think it is.
You go down Clear Lake Boulevard, right? And you just fucking keep driving
until you see NASA.
Until you see NASA, and then you drive past NASA. And once you're past NASA, guess what you see? Water, because you're in Seabrook, because you just hit the Galveston Bay, because NASA is a postage stamp in the massive map that is Houston. Houston is this. NASA's down here. It's not that big, gang. They don't launch rockets there. It's not what you guys think. It is a museum. It is a bunch of labs.
If you're curious as to what happens at NASA in Houston, there is a fantastic book. I'll put it below in the description.
The Doodly-Doos?
Yeah, in the Doodly-Doos. It's Apollo, How We Got to the Moon. And it's the whole beginning space race of NASA. And
that's a good book.
Random story. This is how fucking space cowboy they were. Pieces were being built in different shops and different companies were building them. And they got two pieces of the space capsule together, but they were made by different people and they didn't quite fit. So they just like took a file and started
soldered it and started banging it shit together. Yeah.
Like that would never fly today, literally and figuratively. But
literally you can't take a pencil out of that building without permission. Yeah.
Right. But NASA Houston, part of that was strategic because of politically, because the vice president Johnson, and the astronauts and their families all lived in Clear Lake, Texas. So
I mean, they built neighborhoods.
The Astronauts Wives Club also talks about that. That's a nonfiction book about the astronauts.
The show is good too.
The show was very good. That? The book, I liked the show better than the book because honestly, the book there were so many people to keep track of, and I didn't have faces to them.
The book got dry.
Mm-hmm.
If the book would have been, I mean, I get what the point of the book was about getting information across.
Right.
But if they would have did it like Devil in the White City and more of
I hated that book.
Oh, I loved that book.
I hated that book. That was like my least favorite read the year that I read it.
It read like fiction.
No, it didn't. It read like somebody who's a journalist who was trying to write fiction because that's motherfucking what it was. Anyway, Apollo, How We Got to the Moon, it talks specifically about what Houston did. It also talked about what happened in Hampton, Virginia, which is coastal Virginia, where I live. I don't live in Hampton, but I live in coastal Virginia. So it talked about what happened in Hampton, which is where they were doing the math. Houston was where all the astronauts lived and trained, but the place where they all took off from was Kennedy Space Center in Florida, in Cocoa Beach.
Cocoa Beach.
Right, because that's... So, and then there's also a base in Alabama, which is where they have the space camp.
Yep, there's Alabama, and where they do the training. A lot of training's done out in Alabama.
And there's a one in Ohio.
There's one in the desert, an unnamed location.
Yeah, because that one's where they're doing some flight tests as well, some pilot tests.
But the one in the deserts, we're not. Yeah, the unnamed desert location is also where they do survival skill training.
Yeah.
So, well, they just drop them, and
anyway, that NASA in Houston is still doing a lot of science, engineering, a lot of engineering. The Mars rovers were being created there. Actually, I know somebody whose husband helped.
I have a picture.
Mars rovers.
I'll share it in the stories. I have a picture of Piper Addy in front of the new telescope before it went up. Court got her in. Court snuck her in and took her, showed her the new rovers. Like, I can show you the pictures. It was like a sweet Uncle Court thing. He's like, oh, you're going to be an astronaut? I got you. And this is when Court still worked there. And he took her around, and he, like, so my little 8-year-old has a picture in front of a telescope she'll probably be working on one day. And I just can't.
I love
it's
that.
Like, I do too.
We made friends with somebody who was in the room when we landed on the moon. He was one of the people that, like, actually worked in the, like, comms in Houston. Like,
did he tell you it was faked?
No.
That they were having a pizza party that day?
No. In fact, he, like, offered to take us on a super behind-the-scenes tour.
Those are really fun.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to do those, if you know anybody at NASA and they take you behind the scenes, it's really cool. When we first met Court and Hillary, she made him. He was working on the robot project, and she made him take us to see the robots. We're going to see all of them.
Well, all of that is to say, you can't motherfucking walk to NASA in Houston.
You can't walk to NASA. I mean, there is a sidewalk. But it
doesn't go into the NASA.
No, because it's a security area.
Right.
Also, it is 6 lanes. No, sorry, 8 lanes. 4 on both sides.
Well, I think they have another entrance for staff, don't they?
Yes, it's still on the 4-lane section. So here is where NASA is, and you drive a little bit more, and then that's that plane, and then you drive a little bit more, move the road down a little bit. So here's the plane. Here's the first entrance, and then as you know where that Hilton is. That's the back, and that road there.
Yeah.
That's the direction to the back entrance.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
now that you guys have all gotten road directions from Molly,
none of that was road directions. The only actual word that we said was Clear Lake Boulevard.
You knew what I meant, though. You could drive based on what I told you.
Molly, I lived there.
Word. And a lot of, we have a good few listeners that are still in Lake City.
Yeah.
Leslie's still there. I know that for sure. I know Leslie's listening because she loves us. I love you, Leslie.
She gave us House on the Cerulean Sea.
She fucking gave us House on the Cerulean Sea.
So, I mean, there's nothing.
There's no going back on that one.
That's it. That's it for me. Like, House on the Cerulean Sea is my favorite book that I read last year at all. Like, favorite book I read last year at all. And
I gotta say,
I would say that that says something because I read a lot of motherfucking books.
All right, let's talk about next week.
All right, let's talk about next week. I love that idea.
Let's talk about next week.
All right.
That's what I can do.
You're so funny. All right. So I was about to show you this book, which is the one we just talked about. So that's not going to do it.
You want this one?
So next week we're going to talk about Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. Molly pick.
A Molly pick.
And then we're going to talk about Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is my second read of this book. Oh, Charlie Lastra. And then
I'll take your word on it.
And then we're gonna.
I haven't started it yet.
Then we're gonna wrap out the month with the spiciest book I've ever read. 50 Shades of Grey does not count because the writing was so poor it was a turnoff. The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and this is a series. It's
spicy.
It's the Dreamland Billionaires series, and I bought the next two. The second one had been out for a little bit, and the third one came out this week that we're filming. And look how thick this motherfucker is. I was like, damn,
they're thick books.
That's a lot of banging. But it's like so much thicker than the first one.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a lot of banging. So anyway, that's what we're going to be reading. And check social media for what we'll do in March. We probably won't post that to the middle of this month. But we do have some fun guests in March, including our friend.
Don't forget, we're going to be in Annapolis, gang, in April.
April 29th, we will be at the Annapolis Book Con. We'll be live streaming, and we will also be interviewing some authors that will be recorded, and that will be an episode that will come out in May.
And we'll put the link to that in the bio.
Yep. In the description. Those are the words she's looking for, guys. I got you, girl.
That's it.
I got you, boo.
That's it. All right. It is been a long damn week.
I know, right?
We need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we knew. Okay, so.
Till next time, fuckers.
Stop calling our fans fuckers.
Besties, we love you. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April, not those of anyone else. Today's book was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazlewood. Your book besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you would like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com or visit our website, bookbestiespodcast.com. Until next time, besties, get lost in your favorite book.